So this is loading a Sigsauer X5 BB gun. Magazine out. No BBs. As easy as that. Now I've seen where some people try to load from the top individually, and you certainly can do that, but you have to lower the spring, and that is a little dicey because sometimes it releases. It doesn't release with it. Now there you go, right there, with as much pressure when it's not too far down. But loading individually from the top can be a pain. Also, actually the manual talks about loading from here individually, which is certainly something you can do, but I think using the straw is a lot more effective, and you can see just releasing the spring did pop off another BB. So a couple things to get started, and this is basically just what you're going to need when you create your supply. A pair of scissors, a straw, and a ruler, and then a marker for the straw. What you're going to eventually create is something like this that has tape on both ends. So in that regard, I have two different colors of tape, and I try to make it such that the same is on the bottom and on the top each time, and I'll show you where the bottom and top are. A supply of BBs, of course. And I like to either use glasses or protective lenses when I put this on, because one of the things that does happen is that the spring can release and shoot BBs. They don't have the velocity of coming out of the gun, but they do have a pretty good velocity. And once you get ready to go, I usually put a pillow or a box or something in front of the opening so that if the BBs do escape, they aren't going to hit anything that is valuable. So the first thing is to get a straw, and one of our local restaurants happens to have these smaller straws. They probably come in sizes, but it seems to be about 3/16 of an inch across. Some of the bigger straws don't work quite as well because they don't feed as well into the gun. But anyway, I found these, and what I discovered was about 3 inches is about a good length. I try to load these with 15 BBs. I know the gun can take a few more, but I think this is a nice number to shoot. And the 15, I drew a line that comes out to about 2 3/4 inches. So a little longer is nice to be able to put the tape on the top. So once you cut that and then mark it, what I like to do is have a couple of pieces of tape that are pre-cut, and I like to use the same color on the bottom and the top. As you can see here, I use usually green for the top. Reminds me of Go. But what I also like to do to prevent the stickiness from the tape from getting on the BBs, I like to take a piece of the tape and put it there. So now anything on the tube will be a non-sticky surface and won't get any of the gum from the stickiness onto the BBs and into the gun. You can see it kind of sticks to your fingers here. But then I just put it on like that once I have the BBs in, and close it off, and it seems to hold things in there pretty well. So that's making the straw, and so a little more than 3 inches, then 2 3/4 for 15 BBs. I'll go ahead and make the mark with a Sharpie pen. This is a fine point, but obviously you don't really need that, and that's again at 2 3/4 inches. So the bottom stays on the straw, and then you take your supply of BBs. I just like to put them in my hand, and between the two fingers just kind of get a bunch until I get up to the line. And now I have my 15. After you have your 15, it's just a matter of putting on your green cap, sealing it down. So those of you who have played with these magazines know that this spring has a catch on it, but it's not totally reliable. So You have to be a little careful here, and this is where you don the safety glasses and put your pillow or box at the end, and you can either lock it there, maybe that's the best way, and then put your finger and then just tilt it down as you load. And there's 15 BBs. Let's see if we can be just as successful in this. So now it's locked. I'll get my BBs. I guess I had a little less than fewer than 15 in that one, but pull it back down, tilt down, and be a little careful when you release that spring because it can fire off the BBs. There we go. And now you're set to go. So here's the gun. Load. BBs are in, and you're set to go. The other thing I would add, it's nice to have a kind of textured surface to work with your BBs, so once they're there, they're not going to be floating around. If you happen to lose a few once you're loading, they're not going to fly all over the place and over the floor. They'll pretty much stay in one place. So once again, this is just speed loading BBs into a Sigsauer X5.177 BB gun. And even when you don't get it absolutely right, it works pretty well.